Analyst with Jack, and today we're going to be looking at the 2020 presidential election and my confidence interval on how the election will go. Now, this is not how I think the projected votes of each candidate will be, because that's completely different. Projected votes is basically like, does Biden win Pennsylvania by 10 points, 20 points, 50 points, even though that's not going to happen, but like, how much is it going to win by? This is how confident am I this is going to even happen. And I think that's way easier and way better. So dark red blue is like, I would bet my life on it. It's going to happen. You cannot change it. Voter suppression, anything cannot change it. It's nearly impossible. Then the second darkest color, that's second darkest color, the one that Alaska is filled in where my mouse is, and for the Republicans, and the second darkest color for not that. And the second darkest color for the Democrats are basically like, I stake a lot of money on this. I'm like 99% sure there's just that very slim possibility that Donald Trump pulls away with a victory due to some crazy thing. And then there's Ohio. I'm not super confident, but I'm pretty confident because Biden doesn't really have a chance at this. If you look at the polls, and I only really use Morning Consult because they use massive, like survey sizes. And if you look at Ohio, Trump is ahead by 5 points. He's broken 50%, and I like it. And when candidates break 50% on both sides of the aisle multiple times, or right under it, that means they're going to win it. That's very certain. The only thing is, Ohio, there are other polls besides Morning Consult which show Biden ahead. Like, Biden is ahead in an A-rated pollster. He's ahead by 5 points, and Biden broke 50 in that. That's just like a stupid poll. But like, there are quite a few polls, and Rasmussen is actually very nice towards Trump. But Morning Consult, they put out most of the polls that show Trump ahead. And if you look at the 2016 Ohio election for president, Donald Trump won it by 8 points, 8.13 points. So that's pretty substantial. However, there was a massive decrease in votes for Clinton. If you look from, basically these urbanized areas along Lake Erie, they flipped red, which means that there are Democratic voters there. They just don't vote. And you can look even more in the rural areas. That's going to stay as red as it is. But these suburban, urban areas, which have Democratic voters, are going to vote for Biden. That's why I have it as a lean. Now, these are just, I have no free effing clue what's going to happen. Texas, it's so close. It's a literal coin toss. Like, you would honestly be getting, the same, like, literally, it's a coin toss. Like, if you tossed it and you said, tails is Biden, I get tails, and you then got heads, it's the same chance. Like, it's a literal coin toss. So, it's very concerning. Iowa is also a little coin toss because both Rachel Bitecofer, my favorite pollster and forecaster, and Rachel Bitecofer said Texas and Iowa are going to be the closest states. Now, Georgia is going to take a while to count because they are very bad on voter suppression. Stacey Abrams lost her election. Stacey Abrams lost her governor's election because of voter suppression. I'm just going to say it out loud. Brian Kemp stopped 250,000 black voters from being registered. So let's just say, for the sake of it, half of those voters are going to vote, which is generally the voter turnout of black voters. So 250,000 people, poof. So that means 77,000 people voted. Brian Kemp, the 2018 Georgia governor election. Brian Kemp won it by, how many votes did he win it by? He led by 50,000 votes. 55,000. So Stacey Abrams, the black Democrat woman, would be the governor. And if you look from 2014 to 2018, keep an eye on this area. See these, this is called the Black Belt and the Bible Belt. It's where these very quite religious it's where the traditional African American slaves lived on the plantations, because that's where the really rich soil was for the cotton plantations. And if you look at the swing from 2018, it went to the red. Why is that? Because polling locations in these counties all along here were closed. And that stopped Stacey Abrams from winning. She was gonna win. She should have won in a fair election, but she didn't. The only thing is that 53%, 6-point lead. If my math is right, yeah, 6-point lead the Democrats had in the primary election for Georgia. That's big. That's very big in a state that hasn't voted for the Democrats since 1992, if I look correctly. 1992 Georgia election. That was the last time they voted. Yeah, Bill Clinton. It was 1992, and he only won that by barely. And look, he was winning these like crazy rural areas, and like, I'm sorry, but that doesn't really happen anymore. So, regardless, Georgia and North Carolina, I'm very certain, because of high college educated turnout, which votes Democrat, and minority turnout. And that's the same thing with Texas. But Texas is more Republican than Georgia and North Carolina are, especially North Carolina. And Texas is a really, really big state. Like 38 electoral votes. You don't if Joe Biden, worst case scenario, didn't win all these states. Oh no, he didn't win those states. He can win with just Texas. Like, just flip Texas, not even congressional districts, he wins the election. If he kept every single state, flipped only Texas, he wins the election. So Texas, that's why I'm not too certain about Texas winning. And then the congressional districts there both have large Democratic bases. They just need to vote, and they're fine. And they didn't vote in 2016 like everywhere else across the country. And to show how insanely close 2016 was, I will show the Trump margin of victory that Hillary Clinton neglected in this Atlantic Post. I don't know, I'm just going to look at it. He won it by less than 200,000 votes. 200,000 people. People on Instagram has that many followers. 200,000 people. And of those 200,000, in Wisconsin alone, 250,000 didn't vote across these 3 states. And if he wins these 3 states, he wins everything. So it's mathematically impossible for Donald Trump to win, even with voter suppression. But that's unless he uses the normal voting process. But yeah, I'm going to get into it later when I do my House forecast on why the House of Representatives in Congress may decide the election for president, and the Senate may decide the election of the vice president. Now, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you guys are all having a great day, and I'll see you all soon.